Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I am
Good
so
morning.
excited about this show.
Why? Why? What is it about this show that has you super excited?
It has taken 2 years, and we are finally doing a show about shopping. I can't wait to talk about shopping. It's so exciting.
Is that why you love real estate? You get to
Mhm.
go. I mean, you kind of like vicariously, right? Do we kind of vicariously sometimes live through our buyer clients,
Yes, yes, and I love to
right?
see what they do to the house, like, the best thing you can say to your actually, a great example, one of the agents in my office, she sold a house to this these people, I think it's something like 15 years ago, and every year, they do a picture in front of their fireplace for a
Hmm.
holiday card, and she's on the mailing list, and she's like, "I love it," because every year I see have they decorated differently? Have they made any changes or improvements? Have they remodeled? And she's like, I
Hmm.
love it. I feel like I'm being invited to their home every year on the holidays. Like she's like, I feel like I'm a part of that family, and it's
Right.
just great. So yes, all kidding aside, we
I love
love
it.
being a part of it. Love shopping because
I
shopping for
love it.
home
I
is
love it. Shopping, and you can go shopping for a house whenever you want. And
yeah.
we have all these Howard Hanna has amazing, what do you call them? Shopping assistants. I mean, isn't that what we do now? I mean, we don't like we have Instacart go do our grocery for us. When I want
Hmm.
sometimes food from a restaurant, I might have whatever that other company is that'll Grubhub will come grab it and bring it
Right.
to me.
Yep.
I'm just sitting in my backyard enjoying all my landscaping and backyard and I don't want to go and I let I let people shop for me, right? But
Yes.
this is a little different. But this is
This is
fun.
different. This is different. Yes,
But this is
because
different.
yes, but I get your point. Like we do a lot of the we do more pre-searching without walking through the doors now than we ever did in the past. In the past, you know, going
Yeah,
back to when I started in the business, there was one exterior photo of the house in the printed book that came out twice a
right.
month, right? So that's all you
Right.
knew. You could drive by
Right.
the house, like you'd have the address from the book, but you didn't have any interior photos. Then it went I remember when we went to 8 photos, right? Ooh, you could see 8 pictures of the house. Then it went to
Yeah.
15 to 25. In our area, we had have 50 photos. But then our marketing, we're doing Instagram reels about houses, we're doing drone videos. I mean, you're doing a lot of research and pre-screening before you ever walk through the door.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really the you really should have a good idea about the house just from the way it's presented. I mean, you really should. Um, there. I'm not trying to hold anything back. I'm not trying for the people that like. It's not a test. And if they actually schedule an appointment, come look at the house, they'll be rewarded for passing that first test. They made it through the door, and here's a reward. This thing that you can't see online because no, 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 no. Show it.
Yes.
Just show it.
Yeah.
Get them in there.
I agree. I agree. But home shopping is just one part of the process, right? So let's talk a little bit about how you get inside, right? Like it's a process to start looking for a home.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a really good job of helping our agents at Howard Hanna work with buyers and to understand that process, right? So if you're just starting to look, or if your agent is just at the beginning things, the first thing you're going to want to do is have a consultation, right?
Right.
And they
Well, I
might
mean,
even
like
send
ring.
you some of our stuff ahead of time.
Right. Or let's imagine I'm a buyer, and I call you and you don't know me, right? And I saw something on the Howard Hanna website. I was on your webpage, or I saw it maybe, and whoever I saw it advertised, and I was like, yeah, Lisa, this is blah, blah, blah. We've kind of, can you take me to see this house at 3 o'clock? And instead of going right to the house, right, you might have a different plan. You might need to massage me into the right path,
Right.
which is going to be meeting ahead of time, going over this stuff, right? Because as
Yes.
a buyer, I'm like, Lisa, I just want to see the house. I'll know if I want to buy it or not.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's not fair to the seller, and it's not fair or
True.
safe for the agent, right? I don't know you. We teach our kids stranger danger, but as realtors, we've been in the habit of meeting strangers at houses. And that's not
Yeah.
the best way to do it for anybody, frankly, for the buyers either, right?
Yes. Because
So the better way is to start with that consultation, to have a conversation. And before you spend $250,000, $500,000, isn't it worth it to have a consultation to the person who's going to be guiding you through that process? Like, I wouldn't invest that kind of money with a stranger. I would want to have
right.
a consultation. That doesn't
Otherwise,
seem right to me.
because I've been in sales a long time, and if I don't know, if I don't go through this process with them, when we walk through that door, I'm trying to sell them that house. Like, I'm not really being consultative. I'm selling.
Yeah, they
So
called to
I
buy this
need
house and you're doing what they
it.
asked you to do. Right.
Exactly. I'm selling it. I'm selling it, and so how about let's meet ahead of time. Let's work together, for everyone's best benefit, you know,
Mhm.
and then
Yes.
let's go shopping. And then, like, Lisa,
Yes.
let's go shopping.
Right. But and again, that consultation approach, right? We're going to talk about, what are you looking for? We're also going to look at what your budget is. If I was going shopping for a new pair of shoes, I would know how much am I willing to spend for shoes today? Okay? And
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at shoes that are outside of my budget. I might go to one store versus another store because I know the inventory, right? I know what
I
this
I
store.
gotta throw I gotta throw a flag. You are absolutely looking at shoes that are outside of your budget. If there's one thing I know right now, you are looking at shoes outside of your budget.
But I'm not purchasing them.
But you might be waiting for them to go on sale,
Well,
right?
that's
And
true.
then you
That's
feel,
true.
but houses don't go on sale most of the time, and not in the market we're in, right? You can't go into that house that's above your budget and then say, "Whoa, I hope it goes on sale."
Not
Not
today.
happening. Not
No,
today, right?
no.
And if it does go on sale, that just means it was it wasn't priced appropriately. There's,
Right.
for whatever reason, that the way it all works. So so you were successful talking with this buyer, getting me to come into the office with you, have a meeting, and do you want me to bring up the consultation?
Sure.
Yeah. So we've got, so where do we get this? This is in our presentations, right? And
Right.
it's just but in my tab it said just buy. It's just a buyer present. It wasn't the other one, the
Right.
9 pager.
Right.
This was a 30
Yes.
pager.
Yeah. So this is your buying experience. This talks about how
Yeah.
your Howard Hanna agent's going to work with you through that whole process. And so again, starting from that initial consultation where we have more of that discussion, right? Like if we were going to be talking
Hmm.
about my shoes, it would be like, what event do you need them for? How long do you plan on wearing them? Do you need it to be high heels, low heels? It's all that conversation. Tell us about what you're looking for. And then again, what's now I might just say, I mean, we're using shoes. I'm using shoes as a silly example. Buying a house, part of that consultation is going to be financial. How are you going to pay for this house? Are
Yeah.
you pulling money out of a 401k? Do we need to see some verification? The seller's attorney and the sellers are going to want to know if you say you have cash. You need to verify that you have the cash. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting down with first priority mortgage and you're going to be going over financing options. How can you
Yeah.
finance this home and have the best offer possible? They might be talking about our cash advantage program. They might be talking about our buy and borrow bundle. There are great ways for you to save some money and have a very aggressive offer on the house once you find it. Then we're going to be talking about searching for a home and what it's like to go through a home. And then finally we're going to go through the transaction and go through
Right.
what the next steps are. That's so that's a little bit like when you're saying, Chuck, all right, what happens when we come in at that first
Sure,
appointment to talk? Those are the types
sure.
of things that we're going to go over.
What I love about this is, to me, this answers the most common question in real estate. 2 words. What's next? Right? That's what every
Yes.
client wants to know. They want to know what's next. They often call us and they think what's next is we're going to go look at that house at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, or we're going to them, that's what's next. Right. And we have to get them to understand that it's not the right first step. And
Right.
and for the longest time, it was really a challenge for us. I admit it, it wasn't always easy. I developed a process where I had to be willing to give away a free one, right? Like, meaning meet them in a, I know my area really well, so but I would go show a property because they didn't, it wasn't a requirement, and I wanted to establish some rapport with them, and I felt like that was
Yeah.
better when we were in person, but pretty soon this is going to be a requirement before, you know and not talking about showing your own listing, that's a whole different conversation, but if a buyer calls you and wants to see a property, this is going to be the process.
Right. Right.
And
And
it,
that being said, it's going to be better for everyone. It's going to be better for the realtors. It's
absolutely.
better for the buyers because you're not walking into something that isn't going to work. You're not, you're getting a chance that I mean, consultation is always valuable. There's never
It's
there's
funny,
never a time where someone says, "I wish I didn't
right?
take time to make a decision."
There's been so much change in real estate. I mean, even just, I've been licensed 10 years, and there's been change in the 10 years, but I know a history of real estate prior to that time period, because I'm a student of the profession. And has there ever been a time where something changed in a certain way, and then 5 years later you looked back and went, "Gosh, I really wish we could go back and do it." Like, no, things change for the better. They improve, and everybody adjusts,
Mhm.
everybody raises their game, and it always works out better. I think better for the clients, better for the sellers, better for the buyers. Um, so
Yes.
I'm excited about it. I love
Yeah.
it.
I am too. I am too. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, we talked a little bit about what it's like, shopping for a home. So again, this buyer consultation, we are going to
Mhm.
talk with you about, educating you on the market, right? We're going to show you homes that have sold, not show you in person. We're going to bring you data information on homes that have sold in the area recently. So that all right, what's the trend? What's been
So
happening?
so another thing I tell buyers, I go, I s- they because they always they get started on a search, right? We start a search to send, we have them pre-qualified with first priority, and they go, okay, well, now we want to start receiving possible houses that we can buy, and I say, okay, great, great, but guess what? I'm going to set up 2 searches for you, one for the houses that come on the market, and I'm also going to set up a separate search that shows you the solds. So I want you to see what's selling in the price range of your final price range, because they can be 2 different houses. What comes on the market and what sold at 150 to 250, whatever the price is, can be 2 completely different houses. And the only way, the better way to prepare for the future is to look at what the solds are, right? So we have the
Yes.
right expectation of what we're going to get for the price. So
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
doing that.
That's huge. That's huge. Okay,
Okay.
then, I think the next page we like is that home search process.
This
Again,
is
how
sweet.
does it work, right? So
Mhm.
how and so we do wanna spend a few minutes just talking about showings and
Sure.
what's important to do when you're looking at a house, right? So again, we can get all caught up in, many successful professional realtors, they hire photographers, they hire stagers, they have their signs professionally installed. They want the buyers to have a really good experience when they're coming through that home. They're feeling good. They can see themselves living there. And that
Mhm.
is the fun part, right? That's the fun shopping part. But
Mhm.
buying a house is work, right? So as your realtor,
Mm.
we want you also looking at the mechanicals, right? No one stages a furnace, right? The only staging we do on a furnace is if that seller is including a home warranty. We're going to put some markers near the furnace saying, "Hey, covered by a warranty." But other than that, we're not staging sump pumps. We're not staging hot water tanks, things like that. So look at the mechanicals. Get an idea. Now, you've always talked about, Chuck, that 80-10-10. Why
I
don't
love
you
it.
tell people, yes, you're 80-10-10.
Yeah, my 80-10-10. So, I imagine there's 10 criteria. And this has got to check 8 out of those 10 boxes, right? If it doesn't check 8 out of the 10 boxes, it's too much of a stretch. This doesn't, it's not going to be, you're not going to be satisfied with this house, right?
Right.
And
And
then,
the
and
other
then there's
two,
another,
it doesn't
yeah,
matter because one of those you're going to change when you move in, right? Great
you
house
can
down
fix
the
it.
street. Yeah,
It's
there's
a,
a
it's,
nice house
yeah.
down the street from me sold last year, and the people put up a beautiful new garage door. It's a gorgeous garage door. I was like, wow,
Hmm.
that's beautiful. And I'll bet when they looked at the house, they said, oh, that's it was a house. I'm sure they played a lot of street hockey, right? And it shows on the garage door. That's what
Mm.
happens. But now that garage door is gorgeous. And then that other item, you're probably going to live with, right? It's those,
Yeah, that's going to be okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 80,
Funny
10,
story.
10, you're good.
Some of those things that you think you're just going to live with it, sometimes you actually end up really liking it. Like
True.
that happened at our house when we came in. I remember we came and looked at this house, and there's this little closet, and so there's a bedroom, and there's a closet in the bedroom, and then there's so instead of having the closet go all the way to the wall, it stopped like 6 inches short, and there's a door on the hallway, and it's a short little closet with short little shelves. And I remember before we moved in, Kath said, she's like, well, the first thing we're doing is we're 86 in that closet. That's dumb. I don't get it. And I go, okay, whatever. And of course, guess what? That's where our toothbrushes are, and that's where our medicine, and that's where and she's like, oh my God, I love this closet.
See? Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you gotta let the house talk to you a little bit, don't be
Yes.
so critical. And it's so funny. So um yeah, so 80-10-10. But the reason I always say 80-10-10, and whatever the metrics are, if you want to call it 75-20, whatever. But my point is, and I tell this to buyers, I have to quantify your experience to some degree. The hardest is when I ask you questions. We're going through that interview through this tool that we have, and they go, "Gosh, you know what? When I walk through that front door, I'll know. I'll know." And I go, "Oh, really? Great." There's nothing I can do to like help narrow that. So I feel like that's why we're being hired as the assistant shopper, right? So that they don't have to go look at every single thing, because we should know, like, we go do this all the time. We're professional house shopping assistants.
Right.
But when they go, I'll know. And I go, okay.
Yeah. But I do think there's a little bit that because like we have, and every agent has their own little checklist that they like. I don't know that we can
Sure.
really do that,
Got
but
to have the
there's
checklists.
all kinds of checklists out there. So if we use your,
Mhm.
10 things, you probably don't even want to look at a house that doesn't have that you can't quantify already. There are 5 of the 10 things before you
Absolutely.
step in the door. So now you're just looking for a
Hmm.
few more. So when you walk in that door, you already know, okay, this house has what I'm looking for, because otherwise I wouldn't be stepping inside. And then you're
Hmm.
looking for those few things, and sometimes from the front door you can see it, right? Like, you know, and personally, when I was selling and showing houses, it's like, I like people to start at the front door. Now, you may know 9 times out of 10, like I think about my house, I have a back door that's near the garage. That's where I come in. But when I looked at the house, I started at the front door because I think a lot of home designers, architects, they design from the front door. Like, how does it feel when the first time
Hmm.
company comes over, my family comes over and they walk in? Is it convenient to hang up their coat, right? Like, is there a
Hmm.
convenient place to put your shoes? Those types of things. Like, I want to see it from the front door. I want to see when you walk in that experience, right? And So when you're looking at a house, you want to think about those things as well. You want to think about, okay, is there enough storage? I mean, probably most of the homes in our area, I think yours too, Chuck, they have basements, but there are some homes without a basement. What are your
Yeah.
storage options without a basement? Is it
You
an
know,
attached
at least
garage, a detached garage?
you know what I like about the list is when you walk into the house and you've got buyers and they're going to look at the house and you've got a list, you kind of let them know, say, hey, you know what? I'm really here to manage this list. Like this is what I'm doing while we're here. You're not there to say, here's the kitchen. They know what a kitchen is. Hey,
Right.
here's the living room. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, they don't need that, but you would be really helpful if you had a list and you were saying, yep, check that box, check that box, check that box, check. Oh, you know what? You really wanted a fenced in backyard, or you wanted a fully fenced. This was only partially. Like, you're taking notes about the
Right.
property and you're checking those things off. That's giving you as an agent, aside from, of course, selling the house and some of the features. I mean, there's definitely some sales involved, but I feel like that's my job while I'm there, really, to
Yes.
partly
And
to do
then
that.
it's also to um adjust, right? Like, you use
Sure.
the idea of a fenced yard, right? When I bought my last house, I had two dogs. I needed a fenced yard. So if I looked at a house that didn't already have it fenced, in my mind, I had to know, okay, this is going to cost me 3,000, 8,000, and that had to work in my budget. And ultimately, the house that I bought did not have a fenced yard, but within 5 days of
Yep.
closing,
Who
the
owns
fence
these
was up
fences,
and the
right?
dogs were
These
happy. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Or are there fences already up? Well, which way do the fences face? Can you tell who owns the fences based on this, and I mean, is that even correct? Sometimes that's not correct, but usually it's pretty good. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so
Yep.
absolutely. All right.
Yes.
So there was
So,
another go ahead.
yeah. No, and I think again, one of the other pages when we look at when you meet with your agent, it is talking about what are your priorities, right? Like you might say, well, I have to have a formal dining room. And your Howard Hanna agent might say, well, tell me a little bit more about that. What does that mean? What tell me about that? Well, I'm the one in my family who hosts every birthday party. So I need to be
Yeah.
able to see 10 people around a table for every birthday party. Okay, so if we had a house with a very large eat-in kitchen where it didn't have that extra wall, but it had the space for seating for 10, would that work? Yes. Okay. So now we know, and that's why, we're not just being nosy as to why do you want what you want. We're just trying to figure out how it can work. And I think we're going to ask more of those questions depending on the market, right? Right now, we know that there is an inventory shortage. So, if you need to buy right now, you're still going to buy. Whether there's a shortage or not, you're still going to buy a house if you need a house. But you might
Yeah.
have to make it might be 7 on your list instead of 8, but you understand that going in. You might be at a
Yeah.
price point where you say, you know what, I think I'm going to consider new construction because if I'm not finding exactly what I want, I might need to build it. And depending on your price point, the availability of land in your area, that's a very good option. If the house you want doesn't exist, you may have to build it. And that's not a bad idea. Plenty of good builders
Yeah.
in all of our areas.
Yeah. No, right. I mean, you got new neighborhoods going up, and we've got a builder in our office who builds spec homes on individual lots, and they'll go almost anywhere with and buy a quarter, half acre lot, whatever lot they can get,
Yeah,
and build a house on it, and they're beautiful. And so
right.
and when you do that, much of the infrastructure, the roads already there, the water, like all the utilities, everything's already there. So the hookups are easier. So you don't, when you buy it brand new, you're paying for that infrastructure to be built out. When you're buying these lots that are in existing neighborhoods already, that's already been paid for. So
No, that's
it'd
awesome.
be a good
That's
option.
awesome. So, Chuck, let's
Um,
talk a little bit before we go too far. When all right, let's
okay.
pretend I'm a buyer, you're my agent, and I
Okay.
say I'm going
Oh,
to come look at the house. Yeah, aren't you
the
lucky?
the shopper. Yeah. Yay.
I'm gonna come look at a
All right,
house.
let me be clear. We're not looking at more than 4 houses, Lisa. We look at 4 houses, you're buying one of those 4 houses. I just want to be clear. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Good.
And probably you gave me 8 and you told me to drive around the neighborhoods and I picked 4 out of the 8 that were in locations I want to be in. You might make me do a little homework before we go inside. Now,
I do like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Drive by the neighborhood, drive through at various times of the day, and see what you think
Yeah.
of the neighborhood. Think of what, and you know what,
Yeah.
go to those houses and drive to work. How's the commute?
Is it a
So,
north facing house, a south facing house? Like how do you that's going to affect the light and what rooms are the blah 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 on this side or that
yeah.
side. So,
If I'm a
yeah.
big
So
gardener, I wanna see how much, sunny spaces in the
so
yard.
I'm taking you shopping. So we're looking at 4 houses
Yes.
shopping.
So
Awesome. Well,
who am I gonna bring with me?
who are you going to bring with you? You're
Who
going to
should
bring
I
your
bring with
bank,
me?
the banker. You're going to bring your loan officer. Okay, cuz I want to make sure that I got a loan for you. Just
Perfect.
kidding. You're
What
gonna bring your decision makers, right? Your decision makers who are at least old enough to like, sometimes your little kids are not, sometimes it can be, on the first view through these houses, you might want to get a babysitter or see if a family member can watch your kids while the adults go out house shopping. House shopping is for adults, right? Now, once you've narrowed it down to the last couple or 3 that if we've narrowed it, and then you want to bring the kids, right? Because I get, you know what? I guarantee you, the kids are going to want to buy every single one. Like,
right, right.
they
And
are.
they're
They're
not
gonna.
gonna be
They're
discerning, right?
no. They're gonna love
No.
them. They're like, oh, I love it.
Yes.
They're gonna love.
And they're going to
So
I can remember buying a house with, and my kids were younger at the time, and they were like, "Oh, we love this house." I'm like, "Tell me what you like about it. Did you see all the toys in that bedroom?" It's like, "Oh, those toys don't come with the house." Like,
no, no. Oh my gosh,
the TV
I
doesn't come with that. Well, sometimes they do now, but back then they didn't.
and just yeah, and man, and it's
So, yeah.
no,
So
I just
think
think it's emotional with kids too, like, I mean, think of adults as writing offers, and the offers oftentimes won't, there's a lot of competition.
right.
But as adults, it's hard on us. Well, it's going to be hard on the kids even more when you say, you know what, somebody else, they're not going to get it.
No.
Like, why didn't we get that one? I don't understand. Right?
Yes.
They don't need to learn
Yeah.
the intricacies of capitalism and laissez-faire economics.
They don't, not at that age.
They
But
don't.
yeah,
No.
and so it also will impact the more people there, the harder it is to focus on the house for you as the buyer
Yeah.
because you're focused on
I would
everyone else.
I'd say leave the kids at home and leave the parents at home too. I don't kids and parents, they don't they can come after and see what a beautiful house you got.
Yeah.
Um,
I also think
so
so let's just say that I've got 2 decision makers. Let's say I'm buying this house with someone else, right? Like
great.
I
Yep.
I would like to go through the house together. Some people I see them scatter, right? Like, "Oh, Chuck, you go check
No,
out the
no.
first floor. I'm
Hey,
gonna check out the second floor." And right, then we're yelling.
yeah,
"Did you see this?"
yeah, no, no. Guess what? We're gonna stay together. It's like the buddy system. You might hear me go, buddy check, and grab your hand. It's like summer camp. Seeing I'm I'm going to summer camp next week. It's like summer camp at the waterfront. Buddy check. And
Yep,
uh and you got to raise hands, and we got to clear the buddy check before we can proceed on to the next room. So no, we stay together, right? And
yeah,
because how are we going to talk about it in the moment, in the like when we're in the room, that's the best place to
right,
talk about it.
right.
So yeah,
We
and
actually we
that's what
really
the
don't
sellers
talk.
expect. That's what the sellers
Right.
expect. I mean,
Yes. Stay together. Stay together.
stay
Um,
together.
we don't talk a lot about house hunting TV shows, HGTV shows, but I will say, and now I can't remember which one it is, where they give all the houses a name, right? The purple house, the red house, the lake house, this house, that house. I
Oh,
do. I will say I kind of like that. I think that's helpful because again, if you're showing me 4 houses,
Mhm.
And I'm not going to remember, like, okay,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not remembering the house number or the street number, but if you say, oh, Lisa, remember that was the one where the kitchen had a purple countertop. Oh, I remember that because that's a standout feature. That's the one that had the hot tub room, right? So it's not a bad idea to pick a feature or two that will help you remember which house is which. Because I drove by 8 to narrow it down to 4 to go to in person, and now I need to keep a mind of which ones I like. Some people use
Yep.
different you might tell me as a buyer, score the houses. Which one had the
Yep.
highest score? You might tell me, well, we're only ever going to consider one or two at a time. So if it's not in the top 2, it's out. Right? Cuz
Yep.
you're going to show me 4 houses,
No,
but how
right.
many how many can I buy?
It's a competition. Well, no, you can buy as many as you want
Oh,
if you're my buyers. Listen, no, we don't have to stop buying after the first house. I'll
okay.
support you buying as many as your loan officer will write you up for.
Okay.
But most of the time, we're just getting one. So yeah, no, I would think maybe on those MLS sheets, like if you do a printout, you're right. Number one, like number two, number three. So you have them in the order that you went. So it makes it referencing the information a lot easier. No, but yeah, you're just buying one. So if you only look at one house, guess what? You're trying to buy it. If you look at two houses, you're buying the best one. If you look at three houses, I mean, you're just always buying the best one. So
Yeah.
because
And
that's
you don't know if that's going to be the first house you look at or you know, pick a number house you look at, right?
yeah, yeah,
So you might love the first house and there's nothing wrong with that because you're so prepared by the time
right.
you actually go visit one, it could be the one. Right. Again, different than years ago where, hey, show me this house. I show you that house. And you're like, nah, it doesn't have anything I wanted. If I had seen more than one
Mhm.
exterior photo, we wouldn't even be looking at it today.
Yes.
So
No,
you
yes,
you've
that's
done a lot of looking before you cross the threshold into the house.
because let's be honest, they've probably been looking on houses online for 2 years before they even called you. So
Right.
it's so
Right.
yeah, so much. They've been looking, 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 which
Yeah.
is that's good. That's one of the changes in real estate. We love it. I think it's good for everybody.
Yes. And maybe you've
Cool.
been going to open houses. We're still doing open houses. That's a great way to
Yeah.
get, started into,
So we
okay, it's a
yeah.
good way for you to learn how does a house look online versus how does it look in person? What am I looking for that I couldn't see on the computer?
Yeah. So I like so we looked so we got to the house. You and your buyer, and we kept you together. Okay. You tried to scatter, but I blew the whistle and we did a buddy check and we got everybody back together. And then and I checked off the boxes. This one meets our 80-10-10 rule. It's my f- and our half hour is up. Let's imagine we had a half hour appointment. Our half hour is over. And Lisa, do you want to buy this house?
Yes. I love this house. I want to buy this house.
Fantastic. Great. Let's go write an offer.
Perfect.
Let's perfect.
And we could do a whole
Lisa,
nother show on offer
yes.
strategy. Um,
My point is don't like, and I know Helen would say, ask for the order, right?
right.
You have to ask for the order. You have to say, do you want to buy this house?
Yeah.
Right? It like it's a simple question that your buyers are waiting for you to ask them.
Right. Like, I like it. I want to live here.
I love it.
How can you make it happen?
I love it. Ask for the order. Dan, this is what I
Yes.
remember Dan Elzer's class. He said, it's my favorite part of the showing. Do you want to buy this house? Because there's only good outcomes can come from that question. They're either going to say yes, like Lisa wants to buy every house she goes into. So Lisa's my dream buyer, every house. It's just a matter of writing the best offer on one of these. She loves them all. Um, or they're going to say, what's the other possible answer?
No,
No,
not
right?
yet.
And that's it. She says, "No, I don't want to buy it." And I say, "Oh, okay. Well, what was it that we thought? Like, what was it that didn't meet your expectations?" Right? And now we're in a learning moment, which we can
Right.
apply to all the other houses we look at. Like, you can't. That's the only good things can come from asking that question.
Right.
So I love it. That's
Right.
my
Because
favorite
you're
part.
going to find out what was it, right? I might say, "Well, I would, except it has an electric stove and I prefer a gas stove." And you're gonna say, "Oh, that's it? Like, we
Mhm.
can add a gas line." I might not know that.
Right,
I might not know that
right.
that's something that can change. I might
You
say,
might right, and you might find out that what the buyers thought about something, it really wasn't what like, you found out, oh, they're like, "Oh, that really wasn't it. It was something else that was maybe harder to articulate, or they didn't realize it about themselves." And now they've learned it, you know? It's if you remember at HannahCon, Terry Watson talks about buying the dishwasher and what the most important feature of a dishwasher was in his process, because he talked about how noisy and clunky this dishwasher was. And he says, "Well, what do you think the most important thing was in a dishwasher?" And we all go, "Well, noise decibels, right? Like the quieter." He goes, "No." And he shows the picture of a dishwasher, and it's an interior lit dishwasher. He goes, "I wanted one with a light." And so of course, don't know. You sometimes you don't, and you don't realize until going through the experience of really what it is that you want, you know? And I
yes.
like that, and I love going through that with buyers. Um, and it's okay when they change their mind. It's
Yeah.
they perfectly acceptable to change. That's
Yes.
great. It gets us closer to the finish line.
But,
So,
I think also just, being open, sharing with your agent your thoughts, because I thought where you were going with the dishwasher was going to be a delay start. Like, I don't care how noisy my dishwasher is. If I can turn it on at 9 p.m. and do a delayed start for 4 hours, because I'm going to sleep right through it. Right.
mm,
Like, it's not next
yeah,
to my bedroom. I don't care how noisy it is at 1 in the morning because I'm sound asleep. So there are ways to deal with a lot of issues, that if you mention that to your agent, we're going to talk about it. Now, there are some things, like if you ask me if I want to buy the house and I say no, and there's something about the location that doesn't work for me. Well, you can't change that, right? We're not in the
no, you
habit
can't
of
change it.
moving houses. But other than that, almost anything we can have a discussion about and
Right,
see, is it something that we can work around?
right.
So,
All
all
right. Listen,
right. Well, this has
we
been
covered a
fun.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we could keep talking about this forever and ever and ever. We'll probably have to do another show about this. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, this is great. Thanks. Um,
Yeah, and definitely ask for this buyer experience. It's a nice guide.
yeah,
Your Hannah agent has it. If you're a Hannah agent, you know where to get it in Hannah presentations. And it's a
right.
really nice guide through the whole process that I think people will enjoy. And it helps, it's quick, easy reading. It's not a lot of homework.
Love it.
It'll really help
All
you
right.
understand the process.
Closing thought once again by Lisa Avery. She nailed it. Cheers, everybody.